All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started now. So welcome to the 2026 Illinois Works Reporting System, also known as IWRS Session I webinar. Thank you again for your time out of your busy schedule to join us this morning. Over the next 3 hours, you will have an opportunity to learn more about Illinois Works Reporting System, also known as IWRS, and we'll be referring to the system as IWRS for short throughout the presentation. Now, the target audience for this program are individuals accountable for the administrative functions related to data entry and data management. So some job titles may include, but not limited to, program administrators, program managers, program coordinators, and data entry coordinators. Next slide, please. Now, my name is Edwin Sanchez. I'm an upstate programmatic grant manager for the Office of Illinois Works Peer Apprenticeship Program. And I have a few colleagues that'll be joining me today. So first I have Mr. Dan Martinez. Dan, do you mind coming and saying hello?
Good morning, everyone. Again, I echo Edwin's thoughts. Thank you all for joining us. Look forward to our session today.
Great, thank you, Dan. And I also have Mr. Jeff Doolittle also joining us today.
Hi, everyone. I'll be monitoring chat. Great to be with you.
All right, great. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for introducing yourself. And we look forward to going through this presentation together here. Next slide, please. Now, the Office of Illinois Works has a team of passionate experts committed to supporting your pre-apprenticeship program success. So we have Dr. Norman Ruano, he's the Deputy Director of Illinois Works. Mr. Dan Martinez, the Senior Pre-Apprenticeship Program Manager, who recently got this role, so congratulations to Mr. Dan Martinez. Myself, and then we do have Dr. Carlita Austin, who couldn't join us right now, but we do have Dr. Jeff Doolittle, who just introduced himself, and Mr. Shiva Sai Jamula, who's the virtual producer who you see clicking through the slides. He's being very helpful. So we have Shiva here as well. Next slide, please. All right, now the Office of Illinois Works was created as a result of Governor Pritzker's commitment to expanding equity in Illinois' construction workforce. The Office of Illinois Works, in partnership with Southern Illinois University Center for Workforce Development, developed the Illinois Works Reporting System, also known as IWRS. Now, this system allows grantees to track key information about participants' progress throughout their engagement with the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program. Now, during this course, you'll be provided with information about the Illinois Works Reporting System, navigation instructions, and practice opportunities. Next slide, please. All right, now, so by the end of this training, you will be able to identify the 4 Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship technologies, describe the role of the Illinois Works Reporting System, explain the relationships between IWRS and the pre-apprenticeship life cycle, how that all ties together, navigate the IWRS main page, how to add and update provider information, manage users, and how to access the reporting tools in IWRS. And please note that there will be a 10-minute break at some point during the course. And please also note this session is being recorded and will be made available for review on our partner guide. The link to the Illinois Work page is now being provided for you in the chat now. So you should see it in the chat as well soon. Next slide, please. All right, now I know we just did introductions, but before we move forward, are there any questions from anyone? If so, please put them in the chat or you can unmute yourself.
No questions in chat at this point, Edwin.
All right, great. Thank you, Jeff. So we can move forward. All right, so for section 2, by the end of this section, you will be able to learn how to use the WebEx features and functions to fully participate in this training today and identify what you hope to learn from this training. So next slide, please. So in order for you to be fully engaged today, we're just going to do a quick review on some WebEx system functions. So you'll see there's a mute and unmute button at the bottom. There's a stop and start video. This is for your own camera. Um, the raise hand option, so you could raise your hand. If you want to practice now, you may do that. That's if you have any questions, you could raise your hand and then we will notice it and then call for you. If you want to meet yourself, there's emojis. If you want to express how you're feeling based on something that we've said, uh, there's emojis functions there. The chat function is there for you to ask questions. There's a groups option, but we won't be utilizing that today. And then we don't have it here, but you'll see a multimedia viewer on your right-hand side as well. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please share it in the chat or mute yourself during the question and answer sessions at the end of each training section. There'll be definite points during this training when you'll be invited to ask questions. And we'll try to respond as many comments as questions as possible within our allotted time frame. Next slide, please. Oh, and there's just the arrows and the functions that I went over. Okay, so if you have further comments, feedback, or questions after this training, so if you can email us at this email address, or if you know who your grant manager is at this point, you can email us as well. If you're going through a training, don't think of something, but later on you think of a question, we're here to help. There's our general email, but also feel free to email your assigned programmatic grant manager. Next slide, please. All right, so just to get some practice on our WebEx features, since we will be utilizing WebEx throughout this training, please use the chat, share the following: your name, your organization, agency that you're from, your role, and what geographic location of the state are you in. So your name, what organization you're with, what role, and what part of the state are you in. And we'll do that for a few minutes, and then we can get to know who's in the room as well. We can have our community here. All right, so first person, we do have Katrina Henderson from Quad County Urban League, the VP and CEO from Aurora. Thank you for joining us, Katrina. Appreciate it. Latanya Henderson, CAPS, the program administrator from Chicago. Thank you very much for joining us, Latanya. Aaron Ashley from Spark 618 in Southern Illinois, Carbondale. Nice, awesome. Thank you for joining us. Courtney Dockery from Clio. Thank you for joining us. Daisy Alvarado from Hacia, Transition Coordinator in Chicago. Thank you for joining us, Daisy. We do have, Dave Hunts from R3 Development, ED/Program Admin from East St. Louis. Thank you very much for joining us, Dave. Tyshawn Henry from Forest Park, Illinois, Eden Career Institute. Thank you very much for joining us. And you are also Transition Service Coordinator, Student Support, and Instructor. All right, thank you for joining us. Melissa Brown, Eden Career Institute, Director of Strategy and Program Administrator from Forest Park. Thank you very much for joining us. And Melissa Brown. Okay, we have Merrick Niche from MFS Chicago. Henry, thank you for joining us. Henry Whitlow from Harmony PSI. From Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, we have someone from Atlanta. Okay, Yari Cortez. Hopefully you're on vacation there. Yari Cortez, Supportive Services, Hacia, Chicago. Thank you very much for joining us. Suzette Crenshaw from ABC from Elk Grove Village. Thank you for joining us, Seth. Robert E. Bickman from Bethel Family Resource Center, South Chicago area program administrator. Thank you for joining us, Robert. Aaron Cross from Clio. Elena Soriano, data entry coordinator for Metropolitan Family Services in Chicago. Nadia Hill, CAPS Outreach Recruitment Coordinator based from Chicago. Thank you for joining us. Lita Hines from Program Manager, Center of Innovation, 35th and King Drive in Chicago. Thank you very much for joining us, Lita. Jelani Roy, Jaira, Program Administrator in Chicago. Thank you for joining us. Shubra Kanan, IT Director from Quad County Urban League in Aurora. Thank you very much for joining us, Shubra. Lynette Correa Velez from Hacia, Chicago, Workforce Program Manager. Thank you very much for joining us. And Jaina Cheney, Quad County Urban League, Case Manager in Aurora. Thank you very much for joining us. Alexander sorry if I mispronounced it, from Southwestern Illinois College, Data Entry Coordinator in Belleville, Illinois. Thank you very much for joining us. We have Juanette Appleton, Eden Career Institute, Wraparound and Data Coordinator and Instructor from Forest Park, Illinois. Rena McGee, Center of Innovation, Data Entry Coordinator in Chicago. Sandra, the Community Works Transition Coordinator. Brittany McPherson, a Study Knowledge, Data Entry Coordinator from Harvey. Thank you very much for joining us. Saya Knox, Data Compliance Manager, Revolution Workshop, Chicago. Thank you very much for joining. Anaji London, Data Coordinator and Program Administrator in Chicago, Illinois from Harmony International Development. Thank you very much for joining us. Tamila Hughes, a Study Knowledge, Community Outreach International ED/founder from Harvey. Thank you very much for joining us. Karis Stuckey, Data Entry Coordinator from EDDR Foundation, Rockford. Thank you very much for joining us. Seth Procio, Richland Community College, the coordinator from Decatur. Thank you for joining us. Mary Martinez Sanchez, Data Entry Coordinator from the Community Works in Waukegan. Thank you very much for joining us. And Alana Allen, Tools Up Foundation, the Wraparound Services in Data Entry, Chicago. Thank you very much for joining us. Dominic Watson, the Springfield Project Administrator, I'm assuming from Springfield, Illinois. Thank you very much for joining us. Melissa Santana Bahena, Association House of Chicago, Intake and Data Entry Specialist from Chicago. Thank you very much for joining us. Kennedy Stadamir, Tools Up Foundation, Data Entry Chicago. Thank you very much for joining us. Marlene Wilson, Data Entry Harmony International Development from Chicago. Thank you very much for joining us. And last but not least, Vicki Wilkins, Associate Director of Career Pathways in Wyoa Southern Illinois College, Belleville, Illinois, Wraparound Services. Thank you very much for joining us. And I'm happy to see we do have a wide range of participants from across the state. No, actually, we have one more. Kevin Coleman from Eden Career Institute, Forest Park, Program Administrator. Thank you very much for joining us. So thank you everyone for participating, introducing yourself to your colleagues as well. It's good to know who's part of our program this year in our network. So you get to kind of have a preview on who your colleagues are. Next slide, please. All right, so we're going to practice using the chat again now. So on a scale from 1 through 5, what is your experience or comfort level with data management systems? So I'm assuming 1 is low and 5 is high. So on a scale from 1 through 5, 1 is low, 5 is high. How would you rank your comfort level or experience with data management systems? So we will, all right, give it one more minute. Okay, so we do have a few entries so far. So we have a 5, a 5, a 5, a 4, a 5. Okay, these are high numbers. Good to see. A 4, a 4, 4s, 5s, 5s, a 3. Okay, 4, 4. And I do just want to make a point. If you're not at a 4 or at a 5, that's fine. Or if you're at a 3 or below, that's no problem. So after this presentation, and then the one that we have in person next week, hopefully by then you should be at a 4 or 5, but we just want to get an idea on where our grantees are right now with their comfort level. All right, so looks like there's some 2s. Okay, that's good. That's good. So hopefully in a 3, so hopefully we could get those 2s, those 1s, 2s, or 3s up to a 4 or 5 by the end of this presentation, and definitely by next week. All right, thank you very much for joining. We can move on. Next slide, please. All right, any questions before we proceed to the next section? If so, you can unmute yourself or put any questions in the chat. I know it's just some introduction stuff, but before we kick off to the main meat, are there any questions?
No questions at this moment, Edwin.
All right, great. Thank you, Jeff. So we can move forward. So by the end of this section, for section 3, you will be able to list the key Illinois Works technologies, describe the purpose of the Illinois Works reporting system, and again, explain the relationship between IWRS and the whole life cycle of the pre-apprentice program. Next slide, please. So Illinois Works is committed to leveraging technology for continuous program improvement. Illinois Works provides multiple technological tools to support the Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program. So we do have the Illinois Works reporting system, which we'll go over today, the Career Pathways Management Platform, the Illinois Works Heat Map, Illinois WorkNet, which is the Illinois Works Partner Guide, and the Illinois Works Learning Management System. We'll be focusing on IWRS and the Illinois Works Partner Guide today, and that's one of the key technologies that will focus is IWRS, Illinois Works Reporting System. Next slide, please. All right, so many of you may recall the introduction to the Illinois Works Reporting System, IWRS, during your administrator orientation meeting. You should have received a high-level introduction to IWRS at that point. Next slide, please. Now, IWRS is the data management and reporting system designed to allow grantees to track pre-apprenticeship program activities. It is the Illinois Works internal facing system for compliance reporting. It is required of all grantees that they enter data in IWRS in real time as activities happen. Now, Illinois Works grant managers can only use the data that has been entered into IWRS to verify if a grantee is progressing towards your goals and is compliant with requirements. So IWRS is the key reporting system and the only system we do utilize. Next slide, please. Now, as noted in the overview, the Office of Illinois Works, in partnership with the Southern Illinois University Center for Workforce Development, designed the IWRS system. Now, due to its custom design, IWRS allows grantees to track pre-apprenticeship program inquiries, participant, and grantee partnership. This system also allows programs to track key information about participants' progress through the engagement with the program, including their application, enrollment announcements, career and support service assessments, enrollment in training modules, attendance, training completion, transitions, and follow-up, and post-completions. Next slide, please. Now, you were introduced to this life cycle during the administrative orientation as well during the 2026 grantee manual onboarding session, so this should look familiar to you. And the pre-apprentice life cycle outlines the steps that participants take as they move through the pre-apprenticeship program. Now, it tracks participants' progress from the initial program outreach to the post-transition follow-up. The Illinois Works Pre-Apprentice Program requirements are organized in the pre-apprentice life cycle. As a result, your program will be required to input this data into IWRS based on this pre-apprentice life cycle. Next slide, please. All right, now, so for example, your 2026 grantee cohorts will produce results that we'll use to identify the program's status at a particular moment in time during the program year. So on the screen is data that we collected from IWRS. Can you see so there should be an animation. Is there an animation? Sorry, with the data. No, okay, that's fine. So I'll just read that out loud to you. So the data for 2025 for grant year as of December 2025, we have for inquiries, we had 3,307 inquiries for 2025. Again, that's 3,307. And out of those 3,307, we had 1,761 applicants. So again, out of those 3,307, 1,701 became applicants. Now, out of those 1,701 applicants, 1,584 became enrolled. And out of those 1,584 enrolled, 1,117 became completers. And out of those 1,117 completers, 706 were transitioned. So those are the breakdowns. So we started from inquiries 3,000 to transition 706. And again, those are numbers as of December 2025. So just some data for you all to have an idea on how this whole life cycle ties together and how we collect this data with IWRS. All right, next slide, please. All right, now, before we move forward, any questions about the overview of IWRS, some information we just discussed before we proceed to the next section? If you do, please unmute your line or post your question in the chat.
And no questions at this point.
All right, great. So thank you very much, Jeff. So at this point, I will hand it off to my colleague, Mr. Dan Martinez.
All right, thank you very much, Edwin. Good morning, everyone, again. and I'm here to talk to you about IWRS, and we are going to do this in somewhat of a show and then do format. So we're going to have time to practice what I'm going to talk about. So again, I'll go through several slides and then I'll actually share my screen, and hopefully you have another screen alongside you that you could follow along in IWRS. We're not going to get too deep into it. We're just going to navigate through the different screens. So you're not going to be entering data or anything like that. But I do want you to feel comfortable with navigating through IWRS on your own. So by the end of this section, we will be able to sign into Illinois WorkNet. We're going to show you a bunch of different ways to do that, access the Illinois Works reporting system, and then navigate through or identify the different icons and graphics on the navigation bar of IWRS. And I do want to point out that this session is for new users to IWRS. So I want to say hello to everyone that is new, and a big hello to all of the folks that I recognize their names when Edwin was introducing everyone. For those folks, if you've used IWRS in the past, feel free to drop out of this call. We are not introducing any new topics in IWRS. There will be an IWRS update session for returning users. But this session will really be starting from the basics and is a little bit too rudimentary for anyone that has used IWRS before. So you're welcome to stay on, but if you're anything like me, you'd welcome those couple of hours back to your day. So just keep that in mind, that if you were with us last year and you have used IWRS before, that this really wasn't the session for you. But anyway, moving on to the next slide, we are going to talk about accessing IWRS. And this session is really for the program administrators of each of the new grantees, or a new program administrator to one of our existing grantees. And what we've done for those new users is your grant manager should have reached out to you and asked you to make sure you enroll or register in Illinois WorkNet. And once you had done that, we would be able to add you to access IWRS. So I know there were some of you that had provided your grant manager with your name and email address, but had not registered with Illinois WorkNet. For those individuals, you can reach out to us in the chat. Let us know when the time comes that you don't have access to IWRS, but we'll probably have to do that afterwards. So you'll just really visually follow along with us today. So there's Edwin had walked through the different buttons at the bottom of the WebEx screen, and one is just a simple hand raise. By a show of hands, who here has access to Illinois WorkNet, not IWRS? Who has registered on Illinois WorkNet? So let's see here. Got a couple of hands starting to raise. Keep them up. There we go. There, I think almost all of them are raised. Wonderful. Still have some here that are working on it. So I know there's a lot of individuals here from last year that I know you have access to not only Illinois WorkNet, but IWRS. So, definitely if you're going to stay in the meeting, please follow along so we get a full appreciation of where everyone is. All right, well, thank you for that, everyone. You can go ahead and click the raise hand icon or the hand icon and lower your hand now so we don't think you have a question. But so it looks like the majority of the new users do have access to IWRS. So thank you, or access to Illinois WorkNet. All right, next slide. So we're going to just briefly give you an idea of the different roles within IWRS. There are 3 primary roles that provide different levels of access and ability. The first is the service provider. That would be the majority of people entering data into IWRS. They can access essentially what we call participant level data. So they can enter, upload diplomas as needed, upload driver's licenses as needed. They will be the ones entering, wraparound service assessments and hours of, instruction attendance. They will be entering post-assessment scores for each one of your training modules, and on, uploading resumes. That's really the standard data entry level, access. Then we have program administrators. And this is really for individuals that will need to not only be able to access participant data, but also some grantee level information, maybe uploading the attendance rosters for the entire cohort. You do that at the grantee level. Setting up some of your service providers, setting up some of your services that you offer, uploading other general level, grantee level information into what we call our upload section for the provider. So, and then you'll have access to a couple of reports that the service level provider doesn't have as well. And then there is a third level called super administrator. That's the Illinois Works level of access. And you'll see probably as I share my screen at some points, you'll see that I have access to every single grantee, of course, because I can, any of the grant managers can assist and view the information that each grantee is uploading. So whereas the other two roles, the service provider and the service provider program administrator, you will only have access to your grants, information. So then there's the next level of access. If we go to the next screen, there we go. Regardless of your role, anyone seeking to access IWRS will need to have that Illinois WorkNet account. You can see a screenshot of the State of Illinois Workforce Portal that Edwin had mentioned. If you don't, we will definitely get you set up. We'll walk through how to register. There's a sign in and a registration on that portal, and you can see the pop-up window that will appear. It actually takes you to a whole nother page, and you'll be able to register with Illinois WorkNet. Again, IWRS is a special section of Illinois WorkNet. So you're using your Illinois WorkNet username and password, and then we're granting you access into the IWRS space. So that's why you need both. The next screen. There are several different ways to sign in to the Illinois Works reporting system, IWRS. It can be accessed directly from the IllinoisWorkNet.com you would scroll all the way to the bottom, and as you can see here, there's an icon for Illinois Works. It can be accessed by going to the Illinois Works Partner Guide, which I think you've heard about. We've mentioned it, I think, a couple different times, both at the administrator meeting and other times. We will walk you through that today. And then, of course, there's going to be the easiest way, which will be to save the link as a bookmark in your web browser, and then that will just take you right to their sign in and enter into IWRS very quickly. So walking through the different options. So the next screen, the first option would be go to the State of Illinois Workforce Portal. There's a link that's provided to you in the chat, and you would be able to log in the upper right-hand corner or upper left-hand corner. There's also when you go to the partner guide, you'll see the bottom of the screen that we're looking at here is a icon for accessing the Illinois Works reporting system. You'll click on that. That would take you to, again, the Illinois WorkNet login. And I'm just going to pause here for a moment. I know this sounds like a lot. We are going to walk through this on my screen, and you can do this on your screen in just a moment. So again, the method here will be that we will discuss the methods, and then we will slowly walk through them for everyone so that you get a full picture of how this is done, that live hands-on practice. So at any rate, from the partner guide, you'll be able to access this icon that will take you to a direct login to Illinois WorkNet that feeds into the IWRS system. Then going next screen here. Oh, then it's just questions. So I'll take any questions that you have. I know we walked through that very quickly. It's a lot easier to show it live than it is to show just screenshots of it. So I'll take any questions that you might have now before I share my screen and we walk through it nice and slow.
Dan, nothing's been added to chat at this point.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. So this is the practice portion. Again, hopefully you can do this right alongside me, and we will walk through these step by step. So the first thing, you'll want to go to illinoisworknet.com. We can provide that to you in the chat. You can also see on my screen right up here the URL. So it's www.illinoisworknet, all one word, .com. And if you can use the emoji feature and maybe give me a thumbs up when you're able to get to this website. And of course, there we go. Here are some thumbs up. Now we're going. If you do have any questions, you can place them in the chat. I can't see the chat as I'm walking through these things, but there are lots of hands. There we go. Lots of thumbs up. Perfect. Appreciate it. Okay. Are there anybody in the chat, Edwin or Jeff, that needs assistance getting to illinoisworknet.com?
No, none.
Okay, perfect. All right, so starting at Illinois WorkNet, if you did not have an account, or if one of your staff members do not have an account, this of course is where you sign up. And we had seen this before on the PowerPoint. You click on this and it'll take you to a new screen where you can register and get that illinoisworknet.com access. Again, that's only the first step. Then you would have needed to go to your grant manager for access. After today, though, as program administrators, you will be able to then grant your individual staff members access to IWRS. So that's definitely one of the things that we will cover. All right. So from here, we can see that you would log in to to Illinois WorkNet, and that would begin the process of taking you to IWRS. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to log in. You can see I already have my information defaulted. And so it brings me back to Illinois WorkNet and allows me to go through one of the methods of accessing IWRS, and that is to go to my dashboard. And you can see there's two sets of tools here. I have personal tools on the left in red and partner tools in blue. So some of you might say, well, I only see the personal tools. I'm going to increase the size of my screen. I don't know if I can make it happen now. Sometimes they are layered upon one another and you have to select between the two. So if you select the second one, the partner tools, this customer support center icon allows you to then come to the beginning of IWRS, where I can then select, this is called groups, and I'll be able to select Illinois Works, which is IWRS. Some of you, if you have a FIJA or CIJA program or other programs, might see other groups there, but we are looking for the Illinois Works group, and selecting that will take you into IWRS. Was everyone able to follow that? If you were not, please enter that into the chat so that we can, I can know to walk through it again.
There's just one person that said they got their account is locked and they have to wait 5 minutes to try again. So
Okay. All right. Well, while that person does that, I'm going to go ahead and
did
log
get,
out.
and Dan, before you do, I did get one more that did ask for you to walk through it again if you would.
Okay. And that's where I am right now. So I logged out. And again, we can start at illinoisworknet.com. We go there. And I simply go up to the login. Log into illinoisworknet.com. And then here is a dashboard section. And I open that up. And I'm going to select Partner Tools. And then from this group search page, I'm going to select ILWorks. And this is the Illinois Works reporting system. So I see a message in the chat saying that I only see personal options. I was mentioning that I didn't think I could make my system, force my system to do that. Let me see if I can. I'm going to try to log in again. My dashboard, no. I can't make my system do it, but there's a method where instead of these two windows, personal tools and partner tools being side by side, they're tabbed. So personal tools will be here, and then behind it will be partner tools, and you'll be able to select that. But you know what we'll do? I'm going to go ahead and show a different way of accessing IWRS from Illinois WorkNet. And I'm doing this from Illinois WorkNet because the other URLs, the other internet addresses are kind of long and hard to remember, right? So even if you are at home and don't have your work computer with you, you could go to illinoisworknet.com. You should be able to remember that, all one word, illinoisworknet.com, and you'll be able to access IWRS. But so another way of getting to illinoisworknet.com is to scroll down from here. And I had mentioned that a lot of different programs utilize Illinois WorkNet. So DHS, a lot of WIOA programs, FIJA and CIJA. And if we go to view more of those programs, then we will finally get to Illinois Works. So by selecting Illinois Works here, this takes us to the partner guide. And the partner guide then has two methods of getting to IWRS. I'm going to scroll down for just a moment. We have access the Illinois Works reporting system here and access the Illinois Works reporting system here. They both take you to the same location. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and select the icon. And again, it takes me to my login. And then it takes me to IWRS. So I'm going to go back, log out one more time. And go back to illinoisworknet.com one more time and show you the other method of getting to the partner guide. So I'm going to scroll all the way down, view more, until we get to the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program, and I'm going to select that icon. And now we're at the partner guide. I highly recommend you bookmark this web page. You can see I have it starred up here in the corner of my browser. That blue star indicates that it's a bookmark. There are a lot of different resources in the partner guide aside from being able to access IWRS. I'm going to scroll down for just a moment and show here are all the professional development, onboarding trainings, and other professional development trainings that we have. You can see we're in IWRS Session I right now. And the method that we utilize is initially these are registration links, but after the session is over, we upload information, including recordings. So we replace that registration link with, say, a recording link. And so it's important to monitor the partner guide for those types of updates. And another thing, when you look at the training session, it will also give you the required or recommended roles. So this again is for the IWRS Session I is for new administrators and new program managers. So before I move off of the partner guide, any questions about the partner guide?
None in chat, Dan.
Okay. So I'm going to come back up and we'll log into IWRS one more time, this time using the access icon here or link. And again, it takes me to my my sign in, asks me which group I want. I personally only have one, only works. And then it takes us to the homepage of IWRS. This is the, as an aside, this is the URL that you would want to bookmark. So if you, whatever browser type you're using, make sure you star it, bookmark it, and this will then take you right into IWRS. All right, any questions about logging into IWRS? Perfect. I'm going to hand the presentation back over and we will walk through the PowerPoint. All right, one more slide. Should be the navigation bar. There we go. All right. So again, same format each time. I'm going to walk through the PowerPoint slides and then we will walk through the system live. But so in this screenshot, you can see the main page of IWRS, and highlighted in red there, we have the navigation bar. This navigation bar is present on all of the IWRS screens, and you should see the following. Oh, and I should mention, not everyone has access to all of the icons that you might see here in the navigation bar. We'll kind of cover that as we go, but don't be alarmed if you don't see a certain icon. Your program administrator, when they sent their list of IWRS users to your grant manager, had selected who has access to what. And so if you have a question about that, contact your program administrator. Or if that's you, contact your grant manager. So as we work from left to right, the first things you'll see are the Illinois Works logo and the Illinois WorkNet logo. Clicking on either of those will take you back to the Illinois WorkNet main page. So if for some reason you wanted to stay logged in but exit out of IWRS, you could click on one of those icons and it would take you back to the IWRS or the Illinois WorkNet main page. Next is the dashboards icon. It's really just the word. Selecting that down arrow will allow you the option of choosing either the assessment dashboard or the Illinois Works Reporting System dashboard. We'll explore those in just a little bit, but we actually don't utilize either of those dashboards for the majority of the work that we do in IWRS. The groups function is the next icon going from left to right. And that takes you back to that group page where I said I only have access for that IL Works. If you have access to CJA or FIJA or some other program, you would see that in the groups page. I do see a message in the chat asking if I can illustrate it on my screen. I absolutely will once we walk through the PowerPoint first. Then I will come back and I will show it on my screen live. Then you see a little head and shoulders icon. This is the user management icon. This is the one that maybe you don't have access to. Some people will, some people won't. And that takes you to the list of your staff members that currently have access to your IWRS profile and your participants. So this is also where, as a program administrator, user manager, you can remove individuals that maybe are with your organization, but they are no longer working on IWRS. You can remove them or, obviously if they're no longer with your organization, you'll want to remove them. And then as you have a new hire, you will then be responsible for making sure that that person creates their Illinois WorkNet account, and then they provide you with the correct information, and then you can grant them access to your IWRS profile. The next icon is the folder graphic. It's for provider information. This is where you will have your organization's kind of grantee level detailed information. You'll use that quite a bit when you're setting up your cohorts, and when you're finishing your cohorts, that's where you upload attendance rosters. Then we have a paper graphic. That's the worksite placement icon, and provides a list of different work sites that you might have. Then we have our second to last icon is the bar graph. That's for the reports icon, and that will take you to some of the reports. Again, we're going to explore that a little bit and give you the explanation of what those reports are later in this training. And then the final item that you should see, it will say hi and then your username. And from there, you can log off. You can access help requests. So if there's a problem with IWRS that you are experiencing, you can submit a help request, and that will go to our SIU liaison to work with the programmers to resolve the issue. And it also will take you back to there's a link to take you back to illinoisworknet.com. So any questions about any of these? Next screen, I think, is the question screen. So I'm going to, again, share my screen for a moment and walk you through these icons. Okay. So one thing I should mention about IWRS is that it does have a timeout feature. So if you are not using IWRS, but you have it open in a background tab, it can time out all of your tabs. And so just be aware of that. If something's not working, go ahead and log out and log back in, and it probably will solve the problem. But we had talked before, just a moment ago here, about the navigation bar. So that's where we are right now. And again, working from left to right, you'll see that I have access to Illinois WorkNet here, so I can click on one of these icons and it'll take me back to Illinois WorkNet. I'm just going to go right back to IWRS. Don't really need to leave it. I mentioned dashboards. So we have the assessment and Illinois Works reporting system. Again, we don't use assessments at all, and we use different reports than the Illinois Works reporting system, but that's where those are located. Groups, I mentioned before, it takes us back to that groups page, where, again, I just need to select Illinois Works again. The user management icon, the folder is the provider information. The piece of paper is worksite placement, and we'll go over all of this information in a little bit more detail in a moment. And then reports, and then the drop-down menu includes the help request, which is not necessarily your first resort. You'll want to reach out possibly to your grant manager and include them on help requests as well. But this is where you will log off of IWRS. So again, that was just a quick run through of the navigation bar. We will see a lot of those in a little bit more detail in just a moment, but I wanted to make sure everyone was comfortable with that. Any questions before I hand it back over to Shiva for a review of the main page?
Nothing new's come in chat.
Perfect. All right. So we will continue on to the provider information section of IWRS. This really helps us navigate the main page, and we'll walk through being able to add or update provider information. So when you log into IWRS, as we all have, you will see the following tabs. It starts on the main tab of participant recruitment and engagement. The next tab is partner engagement and management. Then we have work plan and report. And then finally, a reports tab. So I'm going to discuss each one of these tabs with you right now. The first tab, that participant recruitment and engagement tab, will house all of your participant information, and it's where you will access individual participant profiles. You can access information by status. So we see there's a lot of different filters there. You can filter by the program year. You can filter by the cohort name. We have cohort 1 for 2026. We'll have cohort 2 for 2026, so on and so forth. The customer status, we have different statuses. We have applicant status. We have enrolled status. We have incomplete status. We have complete statuses, things like that. Of course, name. So if you're just searching for the individual's name, you can do it that way. And then finally at the bottom there, we have workNet ID, which every participant will have a unique workNet ID that will identify them not only throughout the duration of your program, but as they graduate, it allows contractors and others to identify those individuals for recognition with the other Illinois work programs. So you're also able to after you select those different filters, to search, and it will obviously run through the database and bring back the search results. You see that blue button there in the bottom left-hand corner. Then the next button is export. So you can export into an Excel file. It's actually a CSV file. Any of the filtered search results that come back, you can export that into and download that out of IWRS. There's a student support needs report that you can access for red flags for participant attendance or post-assessment scores. And then to the right, at the very right-hand side, in the blue is the add participant. And this is really where you start when a person first reaches out to you and says, hey, I'm interested in your Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program. You would add them as a participant. It actually begins as an inquiry and as a lead, and you walk through that. So we'll see that more in IWRS Session 2, 3, and 4 in DeKalb. Again, today is really just about exploring the IWRS system. So the next tab is the partner engagement and management. We just went through the participant recruitment. Next slide. There we go. So the partner engagement and management allows you to add and track partner information. So you might be working with a contractor that's allowing you to do site visits. You might have other partners that you engage with. It actually acts as somewhat of a CRM tool. Again, in future training, we will walk through actually, creating one. Actually, do we create one in today's? We might actually create one in today's. We'll definitely have you practice it, but I think it's in the next IWRS session. But it acts as almost a CRM tool that you can utilize if your organization doesn't have one on already. Next slide. So the work plan and report. This tab provides an outline of your organization's program dates and outcome metrics. The dates and outcome metrics are based on your work plan. So as program administrators, you should have all met or have already scheduled an administrative onboarding meeting with your grant manager. And one of the deliverables there is your work plan. These work plans determine the dates of your cohort, and that gets approved and placed into IWRS. You can view it, you can't change it. And it's really important that you maintain contact with your grant manager if you're desiring to change that work plan at all. Again, you're having these administrative onboarding meetings and providing that information and getting approval of those work plans. Once they're approved, they're fixed. In order to change them, you need to go to your grant manager and request approval to change it. That will impact your performance, which impacts your ability to be in reimbursed funds. Again, this is a performance-based reimbursement grant. It can impact your ability to be renewed. It can impact whether or not you wind up going on a monitoring plan or a program improvement. So it's extremely important that you follow your work plan, and any deviations, you work with your grant manager for pre-approval on that. All right, the next screen are reports. So this actually takes you to the same location that we saw on the navigation bar with the bar graphs. It's just another way of getting to that same field. So that's what the reports tab will do. So next. So we're going to focus a little bit more on the provider information. As I mentioned, that this is an area in which you will definitely be kind of starting and ending. Before I go on, though, did anyone have any questions about the 5 tabs that I had just gone over?
There were some comments, questions came in. One was, do we gain access to the help request icon once we have access to the management system?
So if you don't have access to that help request from the main page, it's not always available in every page, but if you're on the main page and you're on the participant recruitment and engagement tab, and it's not there, send a message to your grant manager they'll need to engage with the programmers, because that seems like I believe that has happened once or twice in the past, or I should say at the beginning of each year. So we definitely need to look into that a little bit for you.
Okay. Another one here was, can the program team enter interested participants into the system, or is that solely the responsibility of the data entry specialist?
So each program is going to need to um, uh, set up or determine how they're entering data into IWRS, who's responsible for that data entry, and then who's the data entry coordinator that's responsible for the data quality and review of the data entry. So there are some programs that um, that have a single dedicated data entry specialist. They typically perform better than spreading that information out, because they become very good at it. They learn IWRS very well, and they understand what needs to be entered and when. If you have all of the people that are working on the grant, the student support specialists, the wraparound service coordinators, the instructors, the transition service coordinators, all responsible for uploading their own information, it starts to get spread a little thin. But that really is something that each program needs to work through and identify what their um, work force can manage.
Okay, got a couple more came in. Can you repeat what is the partner engagement and management is for?
That is partner engagement and management. And again, this is just a very quick overview. We're going to go through these things in a little bit more detail, but we'll actually do, I think, will we do one? We might do an example. We're either going to do an example in this session or the next one. Forgive me for mixing the two up, but I've been reviewing both data content, and now I don't remember the difference between this session and our next session. But it acts as a CRM tool. It's an optional tool. If you already have a method for managing your partner engagement, and recording different contacts that you've had with your partners, then you certainly don't need to use IWRSs. But if you don't have that, this functions very well as that that contact management tool.
Okay, and can the rosters and cohorts be entered by someone other than the program administrator?
So that's a good question. There are two different types of administrators. So there's one person within your organization that functions as the program administrator for the purposes of operating the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program grant. In IWRS, remember I talked about those three roles. There's the program administrator role. You could have 5 people filling that role within your organization. They can have access to the same functions that the one single program administrator has. So I know that gets a little confusing, but there's an administrator within IWRS, and then there's the actual program administrator. We're not talking about the same things there. So the shorter answer is yes. Multiple people can have access to uploading rosters and gaining access to the provider information.
Okay, that was it, Dan.
Okay. All right. So let's look at the provider information that we have up on our screen. As you recall, this is that folder icon, and it takes you to a whole nother screen with your organization's kind of detailed information. This is what I was talking about in terms of the IWRS program administrator role, service provider program administrator role. It's not necessarily, your single program administrator. But you would need to have that IWRS administrator access for this icon. You can see that there's a, on the appointments tab that we have here, there's a project and then provider. Project will always be Illinois Works, and provider, if you have multiple grants, multiple locations, you'll need to select the one that's specific to you, or the one that you're specifically working on, I should say. But otherwise, if you only have one, it should just default to the one that you have. So there are 5 tabs here. We have appointments, file uploads. Actually, can you go to the next screen? I think there's a graphic to illustrate this. Yes. Appointments, file uploads, grantee details, training programs, and then compliance reports. So let's walk through each one of these. So the first one is appointments. This actually is not a feature that IWRS, or I'm sorry, the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program uses. This is for organizations that want to actually schedule appointments, like partner meetings. Again, we don't use this. Grantees are welcome to use it if they don't have an appointment system, but most of us have a calendar that we're already using electronically. So we just haven't mandated this or put it into use as a required element. Keep in mind, as we go through, occasionally you'll see things like this. IWRS is built upon Illinois WorkNet. There are some elements of Illinois WorkNet that are kind of like standard and default that we just don't use. So occasionally you'll see things like that in here. The next tab is file uploads. So this is a tab that we utilize. It allows you to upload, again, what I call grantee level documents.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, was there a question? No? Okay. I threw myself off. Sorry about that. These are grantee level documents, things like MOUs or contracts that you have with vendors or partners. You would have your grant manager will upload your final curriculum form here. Often they'll upload that work plan that was approved here. Your stipend policy could be uploaded here. If I mentioned before, is a performance-based grant, if you wind up going on a performance monitoring or have a warning letter, things like that could be uploaded here as well. So this is just a general file upload that we're able to capture your different agreements and forms digitally. The next tab is grantee details. This is probably the one that you will utilize the most. There is a lot of information on here. It starts with giving, just your general address and program name, the grant number that you're currently working on. We also have information about staff completing required training. I think on the next screen, it shows, this is a very long page, like you can scroll down it quite a bit. Yeah, you can start to see some of the different sections of this same screen on grantee details. We have staff completed required training, so you can enter in information and track where the professional development has been completed. Instructor information, including the credentials that they have, can be added here. Worksite locations, especially if your participants are doing job site learning, having those as locations other than your primary training facility. There's a services section. That's really not something that grantees need to utilize. The services are all maintained and required by Illinois Works. So you access those in individual participant profiles. And then the next slide the final piece of information is the cohort information. So at the bottom of that grantee details page, you can access cohort specific information. This is where we set up your individual training modules. This is where you upload the attendance rosters once those training modules have been completed. These are based off of your final curriculum form. So again, another major part of those administrative onboarding meetings has been to work with your grant manager to establish your curriculum. Those are, once that curriculum gets established, it's placed on a final curriculum form, and you sign it, we sign it, and it's finalized. From there, once it is finalized, your grant manager will then create that training profile in IWRS right here. And it is not until they have completed that step that you can move participants from an applicant status to an enrolled status. Now, again, you might not know what that means yet. We saw on that first page that you click add a participant and you can add leads and inquiries. And as they move through the process, they fill out an application and become an applicant, and you interview them. It's not until your cohort begins that you move them in an IWRS status from applicant to enrolled. But even then, that can't happen until this is established. And it's really your grant manager will provide you with instructions. We always do test one when the time comes. But there's a lot of detail that goes into place there. We'll see that more in the IWRS Session 2, 3, and 4. But just know that this is an extremely important section, that it's going to be based off of your final curriculum form, and that your grant manager will let you know when the time comes to upload those. All right, the next tab is training programs. This is where you can add organizational training program information. There's I believe a PDF in there that we will walk through in, again, the next training session that allows you to enter that information. You can enter information and add staff training, including certifications or other relevant information. And the instructors will be able to have their Illinois Works instructor training placed here. Illinois Works requires instructors to have either the active Illinois Works instructor training certification or a minimum of 3 to 5 years of professional experience in the area of instruction for which they're training. So this is where that can we can identify some of that. We'll walk through seeing how this training program works for adding external training programs, where maybe you have a first aid CPR provider or something like that. All right, next page. One more. Oh, it's just showing that there is an ad program. Again, we'll walk through this when I switch onto my screen, so you can see what that really looks like. One more, and then compliance reports. So this is a section that will allow you to view the most recent compliant report from your grant manager. There's also a history feature of compliance reports. This is actually still something that's being finalized. If there are any existing grantees still on here, you might see a report in there. Now, those are not official reports. Those would have been from 2025 things that we were testing. So just know that those are not official finalized reports yet. Those will start later in 2026 in I think April. But this is a nice repository where you'll be able to access all of your compliance reports. And they measure your progress as a performance-based grant toward the different goals of enrollment, completion, and transition. And those should have all been discussed in length in Grantee Manual Session 1. But just know a separate training will be provided on compliance reports probably in March, maybe April. Okay, any questions before I share my screen and we walk through this together?
Let's see, Dan, we did have, are we adding training that we are supposed to complete, or is that automatically assigned?
I think that means for the training programs, you're adding training programs that they're essentially vendors that you're partnering with that are providing the training on your behalf, if that's the case for your grant. So it's not the case for all grants. It's not something that you're automatically assigned.
Thank you, Dan. And then we have one more. So when I select provider on the training tab, I noticed our address is incorrect. Can this be changed?
Yes, it can be changed. I think it requires a help request, but that definitely can be changed.
That Sonia, who asked the question about the training that was supposed to be complete, or is that automatically said? I meant the grantee details for training.
Oh, no, it's whatever your trainers already or your staff, whatever type of professional development training they receive, that's what would go in there.
Sorry, I'm gonna come off mute. So under the grantee details tab, where you had said about the training programs, that's that's for us. When we
That's
get
correct.
assigned the professional training, and it would automatically populate it about the training we need to do there, or do we have to upload that? That's where I'm not clear.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a great question. Yeah, you have to enter that.
Okay, based on what we're assigned from our grant monitor.
Or, anything externally that your staff takes training on, right? Like they might have a first aid CPR certification as a caseworker, and you want to, update that and put that in there.
Okay, I think I understand, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can you go to the next screen? Because I think that's the question screen. There we go. Any other questions?
No, that was it, Dan.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see, and we'll. Okay. I'm actually going to log out because I've been out of this for a while. And it doesn't refresh like this and take you out of IWRS, but I might have been logged out anyway. So whenever I've been away from it a while, I just make sure I close any additional tabs that maybe were open and log out. So I'm going to use my bookmarked icon here and just log in that way. And you'll see that's really the fastest way. It takes me 2 clicks and I'm into IWRS. So hopefully that's the method that we can all use going forward. All right, so we had talked about a couple of different things. First, we had walked through the different tabs. This is the participant recruitment and engagement tab. So again, I have access to a bunch. This is a test provider that I have, and I can select just based on who's enrolled. I can do it in a search and see all of the participants that I currently have in an enrolled status. Maybe I'm just looking for all the inquiries into IWR, into the program, and these are all the leads that I have that I need to follow up with. So that's how we can utilize this search feature. I can just select my grant and do an entire search for everybody that's ever been part of the program. I can also do it that way. Or just select the apple family, and then I just get the apples. So that's the participant recruitment and engagement initial search screen. again, your data entry people, this is where they're going to spend the majority of their time, and actually going into individual, profiles and updating information. We also talked about the partner engagement. I had mentioned that this is an optional kind of CRM tool, customer resource management or relationship management tool, where you can add partners, you can create engagements. We're gonna walk through doing all of this in the next session in DeKalb, the in-person session, and we'll create each one of these, and you'll create contact notes and see how that works. The next tab that I mentioned was the work plan and report. There's a lot of information in here, so it takes a moment. So, so this will then display the different work plans that that your grant manager has established for you. And I have access to actually create them, so that's why you see this button at the bottom, add cohort, but you would just see the actual, information here showing, say, for cohort 1 2025, these were the number of people that were supposed to be enrolled. There was a goal of 20. These were the start dates that were established, start and end dates for that cohort. Again, these are really important to be followed. They're part of the work plan that was officially approved. So make sure that if you know that you're going to need to change, that you talk to your grant manager and get their approval. And then the reports tab, again, this takes you to the same location. You can see even up here in the navigation bar that the reports icon is now highlighted, because it really took me to the same spot as if I had just clicked on that reports icon. Okay. Any questions about these 4 tabs? Again, we walked through these in detail in the next training session. Okay. We're going to take a look at the provider information. That's this folder icon in the navigation bar. We had walked through the different tabs here: appointments, file uploads, grantee details, training programs, and compliance reports. So the first one on appointments, I mentioned, again, we don't utilize, but you're welcome to. If you want to create appointments and appointment reminders for yourself, you could. The file uploads section, that is one that we definitely do utilize. You can see here they uploaded a credentials for some of their staff members as a test, just to pretend one. You would upload any information like, again, MOUs or agreements that you have with partners. Your grant managers would upload the results of appeals. If you had appealed something or requested a change to the work plan, and that was approved or denied, they'll upload that here, so we have a permanent record of it. The grantee details, this was the one that I said we probably utilized the most. So we have just some general grantee information for each program, the different grant numbers, the different number of grants that you have with Illinois Works. That's just with Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program, by the way. Here are the different staff members that have completed their training program. These are training programs that you're running. So you can see here the Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program and the number of the length of the program. This just provides essentially it should mirror what's in the work plan and report. so that anyone looking for information, and the predominantly the people that look for information are auditors. There's different groups within the state of Illinois that sometimes audit our program, that sometimes audit grantees. We're not really in control of that, but they look for the information, and then if it's not available here in IWRS, they come to us looking for that information outside of it. So it's just helpful to have it all in IWRS. The different locations your program is operating in. So some organizations might have a classroom facility, and then down the block a construction lab facility. So if that's the case, you would want both of those locations established in there. You'd want to enter in all of your instructors and ensure that they have. Obviously, you wouldn't just put certificate and certification. You would actually put the name of the different credentials that they have. Here are the different worksite locations that you may or may not have. This is something that is standard in Illinois workNet. So we're typically not sending people to work. They do job site training, but it's not a work site. Not a job in that sense where they have wages and they've been filled. But if you're partnering with a contractor and you're placing people at defined work sites, this might be a good opportunity to place that here. The services, as I mentioned, we don't utilize. I mean, we utilize it, but individual grantees don't. All right, and then cohort information. So I'm going to pause here for a moment. And I probably should have made sure, is everyone that wanted to, have you been able to access IWRS and access this provider information page? Got a couple of raised hands. That's good. I guess I should ask, has anyone not been able to do that? Please go ahead and place that in the chat. And it may be because let us know, maybe you don't have that folder icon. Again, that would be then something we would need to talk to your program administrator about, whether they asked for you to have IWRS administrator access. Okay. All right, so here we are at the cohort information. I'm not sure if any of this is set up in this test provider, but I'm going to go ahead and try to access one. So this just has a couple of things established. So for most of you, you're going to have 15 to 20 different training modules that get placed here once your final curriculum form has been completed. So I think for the most part, you will not have this button here, add training service to cohort. That's something I see as a grant manager, but you would have this upload attendance roster. We will go through this in sessions 2 and 3 on how to utilize it, but it's just important to know that, again, your grant manager will work with you on that final curriculum form. Then they will create your training profile on these cohort details screens. And then you'll be asked to come in and verify that it's all correct. And you will be able to enter your start and end dates for each of those training sessions. Those can be changed later, but this just allows you to do it at a cohort level. So if you establish this here one time and then add 20 people, they all take on those dates and characteristics. Whereas if you don't have those dates entered in and then you add 20 people to that cohort, then you have to go into each of those 20 individuals and set the dates individually. So that's a lot more work. So setting these dates here is extremely important. Any questions about this screen before we move on?
Nothing in chat, Dan.
Okay. Then we're going to go to the next tab, which was the training programs tab. So this is a section, let's see here. where you can, you know, set up the different training providers that you might have and enter and edit this information. I mentioned that there's a PDF available for this. We're going to, again, see this in more detail in the IWRS Session II training. But essentially what this will allow you to do is when you are setting up your training curriculum, if you have a different service provider that is providing some of the training, you can identify that service provider here, and then just add that to each of your participants. So, for example, if you had the oh, there's a training council that does OSHA 10 training. You know, so you could establish them here one time, and then it's just a matter of clicking them on a drop down when you're actually setting up your individual participants to receive their OSHA 10 training, and they would just inherit all the characteristics here. It's not something that every program does or needs to do, but if you do have dedicated training programs, this is a good way to save a little bit of time by entering them once here. And then we talked about having compliance reports. This is where they will be stored, and you'll be able to view them. So we'll go into a lot more detail as we cross that bridge. All right, so we are going to go ahead and take a break. I'm going to turn things over, and I don't know if we're still taking a 10-minute break or if we're going to move that to 7 minutes, however you want to do it. But when we return, we will start talking about the user management.
And Dan, let's keep it at a 10-minute break and bring everybody back at 11:03.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. See you in 10 minutes, everyone. All right, well, welcome back, everyone. Shiva, are you able to return to the PowerPoint? We just finished our practice. We're ready to start section 6. All right, well, so hopefully everyone had a chance to get up and stretch. I know I walked around a little bit trying to move my knees around. So hopefully we're all refreshed. This next section is really useful. Again, it's the user management section that probably all of you will find necessary as you add and remove individuals from your IWRS profile. So by the end of this section, you'll be able to add and update partners. Those are the users in the user management, and add and update worksite placement. So moving on, we're going to talk about user management. That's that head and shoulders icon in the navigation bar that we talked about. This feature is only available to those with that service provider program administrator role access in IWRS. So if you believe you should have that level of access, but do not see that head and shoulders icon, again, reach out to your program administrator. They provided your grant manager with a list of people who should have that access. And if you're the program administrator, then reach out to your grant manager. If you recall from the main page overview, when we looked at the navigation bar, this icon takes you to the user management page, which we can see a screenshot of here. There is a user management PDF that's available in the partner guide. So you might need to you might want to use that as a resource for later. Also, as I mentioned on the earlier screen, that the language on this screen is a little off. It talks about adding partners. Again, those are the users, your staff members that need access to your IWRS profile and all of your participants. So if we look at the next screen, when we want to add a user, we would select add partner to the group. And in order to complete this form, essentially adding a brand new staff member to your IWRS profile, you'll need several pieces of information. That includes their first and last name, their birth date, their phone number, their email address, and the zip code that they used. And that phone number and email and zip code and birth date, those are all the information that they used when setting up their Illinois workNet account. Again, we see this happen all the time where, a person, sets up an Illinois workNet account with their personal email address, and then they, provide their work email address to, their program administrator, and they're not able to add them because it can't find them, of course. We have to have the email address that you used or that the individual used to create their Illinois workNet account. And then they would just simply add partner and click on add partner there at the bottom, and that's what brings them into your IWRS profile. On the next screen, you'll see deleting a partner is even easier. It's simply a matter of selecting that red X. So the red X allows you to then delete somebody from your IWRS profile. This does not delete their Illinois workNet account. Obviously, they still have their own username and password to access Illinois workNet. It just removes their access to your IWRS profile. The blue plus that's also highlighted there allows you to add a staff member to a different group. You are able to create groups within the IWRS user management, but I don't believe any of our grantees are utilizing that feature at this time. So not something to spend too much time on. Any questions about this? Because I want to go ahead and walk through it a little bit so that you can see how we're how you do that and make sure everyone that needs access has access. So Shivak, if you go to the next screen, I think it's just the question screen. Yeah. So any questions? Okay. Well, let me share my screen and we will walk through that user management. Again, I'm going to log off. See, I have these other screens open. I just want to highlight that I'm logging off on this screen, but I still have these other screens open. These could time me out. So as a security feature. So I'm going to go ahead and close all of those windows. And then utilizing my link, again, I'm just going to go right into Illinois WorkNet. And then in the navigation bar, we had talked about this head and shoulders icon here, this being the way to capture or to access user management. So I'm going to select that. For those of you, your organizations, I don't think there's any returning organizations that are, I'm sorry, brand new organizations that already have multiple grants. But your group would be the different grants that you might have. And then, so you could select that and then you would see all the people that have access to your group. But if you wanted to add a new member to your group, you would simply click add partner to the group. And here's that pop-up window that I discussed. Now you are in control of adding people into your IWRS access profile. Again, that you need their first name, their last name, their birth date, their phone number. These are all bits of information that they entered into Illinois WorkNet when they created their accounts. And finally, there's the organizations or groups that they need to partner to. For most of you, you should only have one. Of course, I have multiple ones, so just using this as an example. And then you would click search, and that would then try to find that person's Illinois WorkNet account. And if it can find it, then it allows you to add that to your profile. If it doesn't, it simply gives you an error message. I don't remember exactly what it says, but it's not able to find the match as an Illinois WorkNet account, so it can't add that person to your profile. And so then you would need to go back to your staff member and say, I need you to go back into Illinois WorkNet and confirm this is your email, this is your birth date, this is your phone number, and this is your zip code. Any questions about adding a staff member? No? All right, excellent. And then we had talked about removing partners as they appear. So that right here, this X, all you need to do is click on the X to remove them from your IWRS profile. You'll see there's also a user management. This allows you to see whether or not your staff member has access to this head and shoulders icon and whether they can add and remove people as well. We strongly recommend that at least 2 people have access to user management. Certainly it's not uncommon for, even if it's the executive director of an organization, for them to leave and then nobody has access to the user management. So it's definitely a best practice. Make sure at least 2 people have access to the administrative access in IWRS, and then at least 2 people have access to user management as well. Not a requirement, but just a best practice. All right. Any questions about that user management before we progress into the next section and talk about reports? This one's probably one of the most useful ones for you to see today. It's also one of the easiest, so that's kind of nice. All right, I'll turn it back over to Shiva, and we'll talk about the reporting tools. Next screen. There we go. All right, here we will discuss accessing the different reporting tools, including the dashboards, the work plan, training services report, and the export report. So several different reports that we utilize. First up, the dashboards. So I mentioned when we were working through the navigation that these are not reports that are really used. As a matter of fact, the assessment one we don't use at all, but you can see when you click on dashboards, we have two options there, assessment and the Illinois Works reporting system. So I think the next screen shows the assessment. Yeah, again, it's not something that we use, and so I'd recommend to not play around with it at all. But then we do have the Illinois Works reporting system. So this is a dashboard that lets you, if you go to the next screen, this is a dashboard that lets you filter data by different demographics, race, ethnicity, veteran status, genders, age groups, and it acts as a summary report for the data that's being entered into IWRS. So you'll be able to see, there's a screenshot of it. You'll be able to see individuals maybe that have red flags based on their attendance or their post assessments. You can see their status, whether they've earned the credentials that they're supposed to, their completion information. One important aspect of this dashboard is that if you find a field that you want more information on, the numbers are hyperlinked. So you can actually click on those numbers and it'll take you to the specific participants that you're looking for more information on. Obviously, as new grantees, there's nothing in the system for you to click on right now. So these reports are pretty empty for you. And that's going to be true for all of the ones that we're going to see. But, you know, it's important for you to just be aware that they're here. I think later in the year, we'll discuss some other reports, and you can always reach out to your grant manager for one-on-one technical assistance if later on you are interested in utilizing a given report. So on this one, I don't know if we can see it on the screen. If we go to the next slide, there's when we select on that one of the hyperlinks, it actually runs a search for those individuals that maybe were past due on one of their follow-ups, and it will bring up all of those individuals. So if there were 9 individuals that were past due, you click on those 9, and then that new window will appear with all 9 of those individuals. And then you can select each one individually, go into their profiles, and it has their contact information. It allows you to see a little bit more detail about what their training hours are, any case notes that your staff has entered under their profile. So it allows you to, you know, resolve any issues that you might have. Any questions about the dashboards? Not one of our heavily used reporting tools, but important nonetheless.
No questions in chat.
Okay. The next report we have are just the general reporting tools section. Remember, we have this icon. We also have a tab that you can utilize to get to the reporting tools. So the vast majority of the reports are just standard Illinois workNet reports. They're not utilized in IWRS. There's really no data there or ability to access them. But under that project category, you can select Illinois workNet, And then there will be 2 reports in particular that will be of relevance to you. And if we go to the next slide, you can see that they are the student needs report and the training services report. So the student needs report, if we go to the next slide, allows you to filter, based on, say, a date range for your students, maybe even a service provider if you want to look at all of the OSHA 10 construction, trainings, and it allows you to then see whether anybody has attendance flags or post-assessment flags. And these flags are really based on that work plan, or I'm sorry, not on the work plan, on the start and end date of the individual training modules. We saw that in the cohort details. Remember I said it's going to be really important for you to fill these out here, because then everyone that you enter into a cohort takes on those dates for those training services. So essentially, the system will recognize that once the end date for that training module has passed, if the training module required 12 hours and the individual only has 6 hours, it's going to mark that now as a flag after that training end date has passed. Before that, it would not. It doesn't recognize that being a problem because it's not yet. And if the individual has a post-assessment score below 70%, it will issue a flag here as well, because it has to be above 70% for it to be a passing post-assessment score. And every single one of our training modules requires post-assessments. The only one that can be pass-fail is the orientation. But even that, then we require you to mark that as a 100 if they successfully attended orientation and submitted all of the documents, filled out their orientation career assessment and filled out their wraparound service assessment. Then that post assessment gets marked as a 100. If not, then it gets marked as a 0. But all the rest of them require either written or performance based post assessments. And for those, post assessments to be filed and kept, but also for the scores to be entered into IWRS. So this tool is pretty helpful for administrators if you're really trying to, get that bird's eye view of, where students are in your system, and understand, just where your cohort is at any given time. The next report is the training services report. Now, this is one that we had developed for grantees in 2024 for them to use in the 2025 grant year. And this can be a really big time saver. This report kind of does 2 different things. It can function as a report, so giving you more detail than the student support needs report. Essentially, instead of just giving you flags and saying, yeah, you might want to look at this, it will show you for each participant, for each training module, how many required hours they were supposed to have been in that training, and what their actual attendance hours are. So then you can see, right, is it that they are 6 out of 12 hours, or are they 8 out of 12 hours, or are they 0 out of 12 hours? Did they not attend at all? So you can see all that information right here. You can actually see their post-assessment score. Again, did they get a 65% and just need a little bit of assistance in order to retake the test and pass it, or do they have a 0 because they didn't take it at all? So like I said, it provides more detail than the student support needs report, and I think it's a little bit more useful in that way. But it also allows the data entry coordinators and specialists to enter information here directly into the report. And if we look at the next screen, you can see after they search for an individual and they select an individual's training service to edit, they can actually drill down and update that information right here on the screen, rather than doing it one at a time. So it's really nice when your cohort completes, say, um, uh, the diversity and inclusion training module, instead of looking up each individual, going to the training services, going to the diversity and inclusion training module, they can just go here, search for the entire cohort, and then just update them one at a time. There's actually then an even faster method where you can upload that data. And again, this gets addressed in detail in the next training session, in the hands-on training in DeKalb. But that's the usefulness of this training services report. The next report is the work plan and report. We already took a look at this when we very first came into IWRS. After we looked at the navigation bar, we looked at these tabs: the participant recruitment and engagement tab, the partner engagement tab, and then the work plan and report tab. And this tab, I showed you, this is where after your grant manager approves your work plan, they will enter this into IWRS. These, I said it before, I'm going to say it again because it's so important. These are the basis of your compliance reporting. Compliance is done on a monthly basis, starting, I think, in April. And it's the work plan determines when scores are calculated, right? So for example, if your cohort doesn't begin until May 1st, and we run a compliance in April, let's say we run it on April 9th, you won't have a negative score. You won't be negatively impacted. You won't have any enrollments yet because your first cohort doesn't begin until May 1st. So it will be a non-event. If, on the other hand, your cohort was supposed to start April 1st, and you moved it without seeking pre-approval from your grant manager to May 1st, and we run a compliance on April 9th, you will have a negatively impacted compliance score because the system will automatically look at that from the work plan and report and say, oh, their cohort started April 1st, but they have 0 enrollments. And so it will give you a 0% and a compliance score that needs improvement. So those low scores can result in monitoring events. It can result in your grant not being renewed, and it can even result in the termination mid-year of a grant. So it's important to adhere to those dates in the work plan and report. I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse, and all of you are thinking, oh, that'll never happen to us. And every year it happens to grantees. So that's why we stress it so much. All right. Next slide, please. Oh, that's just expanding on that work plan and report. So sorry, I talked over that. Oh, we should have moved on. So this next report is our export report. This is the last report we're going to talk about today. This, I mentioned it during the, that initial participant recruitment, where you can filter by cohort. You can just search a single person's name. I think I pulled up the Apple family as an example. And then anything that you have as a search result, you can then export out of IWRS and into a CSV file, which, it can import directly into a lot of different things, particularly Excel. So these, I know it's kind of an eye test here. We'll be able to see it when we go do the walkthrough in just a moment. But there are, I think, 60 different categories or fields that you can pull data into. There are some certain, always populated ones like the workNet ID, I think the person's first and last name, things like that. But you can select or deselect demographic information. You can select, of course, their cohort information. You can select training information to be exported, transition information to be exported, case notes, things like that. So you also have the ability to just select all and deselect all rather than going through those individually. Historically, the grant managers have actually exported your data out on a monthly basis to do compliance. That won't be as necessary since we have compliance tools directly built into IWRS. But that was this was one of the main reports that we utilized in order to identify who within a particular grant's cohort had been enrolled yet or who has been completed yet. So any questions before I share my screen and we walk through together these reporting tools? No? Okay. If we go one more screen, I think we get to the practice icon and there we go. All right. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Oh, I have to click one more button. There we are. Okay. I'm going to start back at groups. That gets me to our participant recruitment and engagement. So I had talked about the very first reports I think we had talked about were the dashboard reports. Again, we don't utilize assessments, but we do have access to the Illinois Works reporting system. Is everyone able to see that? Or again, I should ask the negative. Is there anyone that's not able to see that? All right, if I could ask, I think there's somebody that just raised their hand. If Edwin or Jeff, if you could reach out and find out in the chat what difficulties someone is experiencing, we could look at that. So we, as I mentioned, you have the ability to, select different demographics here. I'm going to see what populates for the Chicago test provider. Here we have I did it based on an age range. Here are the red flags that they might have. Again, this is meant to give you a bird's eye view of your system. We look at inquiries, how many inquiries we have, whether they were cold, warm, hot, how many people enrolled in the program, how many people declined not to participate or declined to participate. We look at participant engagement. So again, there's a lot of different ways you can utilize this report. But if you are looking for ways to, help your team, you want to look and say, okay, well, why do we still have 7 people in a hot status? You can click on those 7 individuals and it will bring them up. And so now okay, well, we have these 7 people that were very interested. Why are they still in inquiry status? What do we need to do to move them to the next phase where they fill out an application and we begin interviewing them for the Illinois Works Peer Apprenticeship Program? All right, so that's the Illinois Works Reporting System dashboard. Any questions there? All right. So next I'll go back up to my reports icon. We've talked about this a couple times today. As I mentioned, most of these are Illinois WorkNet reports, really not of any use to us. But when we look at Illinois Works reports, and I have some access to some reports that, of course, you won't have, but we have the Student Support Needs Report. That was the first one I mentioned. This one gives you just very simple flags. I can say just, show me all the, show me any flags. And do I have any service? I don't have any service providers set up. So this might take a while. We might not wait for the whole report to run. again, what this does it will break down. Here we go. So for, individuals, so Mary Jones, her OSHA, she has a flag on attendance for her OSHA. So she does not have a post-assessment flag, so she probably hasn't even taken that test to have that below 70%. But if I want to drill down, I can click on OSHA and it will take me to her, excuse me, to her profile eventually. And then I would be able to identify what the problem is with the flag. Again, the more useful report, I'm just gonna here, see, it brings me to Mary Jones's profile then, and I can start to view whether or not something needs to be done with her attendance. You can see the plan completion date was November 30th of 2022, and yet she does not have any attendance hours entered in the system yet. So that's why the system is flagging it as having an attendance flag. I'm going to come back here though, and we're going to look at that the training services report, and that's this one here. And this was the one that I said provides us with not only more information, but allows us to do something about it right away. So I'm going to take cohort 1, 2025, and filter this. And so now this gives me every participant in cohort 1 and every training module that they're registered for. So we see this, the first participant, Jerry Apple, has all of these training services loaded into his profile. And then the next person, I used a date. So it looks like it doesn't look like a name, but that's a first and a last name being test. That's one person. And then we keep going down, and here's another person, right? So this is a lot, but we can actually, filter it down so that we have, a little bit better of a view and say, okay, we just finished our module 105. Let's enter the information directly, or let's see where people are, right? And Jerry completed successfully, so he has a successful completion status. He had 11 out of the 12 required hours, and he has a post-assessment score of 86. Of course, the post-assessment name is wrong. It should be Module 105, Intro to Construction Drawings. But that's the type of thing, and this is not a training on how to do this. We'll actually do this in the next session. But I could fix these things right here, and so, like I said, it provides a little bit more usefulness than maybe some of the other reports, because I can fix things right here and even export that data if there was a lot into my own system. Any questions on this this training services report?
Nothing in chat.
Okay. I'm going to go back to the main page. All right. We had already talked about the work planner report. I had shown you that a little bit. So again, that's where that work plan goes, and you will just have access to the to be able to view it. You won't be able to update it or add a new work plan in. And then I should have just stayed here. This one I mentioned last time takes a long time to load. So here's that work planner report. And so this is what it would look like once it gets entered in there for you. For each of your cohorts, you'll have an enrollment, a completion, and and transition dates and goals associated with that. Right. The last report that we just discussed was that export report. And so based on whatever you choose to filter, if you want your entire grantee database, you would just, probably, if you need to select it, it might default when you only have one, and just click search and it will bring up all of your grantees or all of your participants. If you just want a specific cohort, you can just select a specific cohort, and then that's all the individuals that are in that cohort. And then if you want to export them, we have the ability to click on that export. And here's where I said it provides all of these different, I think over 60 fields. It defaults with a couple that are required, such as the workNet ID and the first and last name, but you can, select all of them and then just deselect ones you don't need, or you can just select the ones specifically that you need to identify whether or not you have certain verifications. Maybe you want their contact information, their email, their phone number, their address, city, state, zip, that sort of thing. Of course, if I'm doing multiple grantees, I have to select this, but if you're only, if you only have your one profile, so that's not as necessary. But typically you want to come down here and get the cohort, assigned cohort. That's always one of the more important pieces of information. And then it exports it and just puts it right into your downloads. There we go. All right, any questions about that export report? Were you able to follow along and practice, hopefully? If you do have any questions, go ahead and put something in the chat, and I can always try to help you, maybe even after this call.
Nothing in chat.
Fantastic. I'm going to turn it back over for Shiva to go over our IWRS assistance. Okay. So we have a ticketing system. We talked about this a little bit when we went through the navigation bar, the Illinois WorkNet help desk. So by the end of this session, you'll be able to understand how to report those system glitches through the ticketing system. Next slide. So, obviously, occasionally, like any software, IWRS might not work as expected. This could be because you don't have access, or you're trying to accomplish the wrong thing, or because IWRS is not working properly. So it's in those last situations where we will need to submit a help request via the Illinois WorkNet help desk. And some of these examples might be when you're adding an applicant into IWRS, the system reports that the individual's profile already exists. That's not actually a system error, but it's still something that goes through the help request because that individual might already be engaged with a different Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program grant. They may have just begun the initial stages of it, been an applicant with that program, but they're no longer working with it. Something prevented them from actually starting with that other program, and that was back in 2023. And now here they are, and they'd like to re-engage with your organization. That's fantastic, but you're not able to load them into your system because the system sees them as a profile that already exists. So you would submit a help request and provide us with their full information so that we could investigate that and transfer them to your profile. Another example, if you accidentally uploaded somebody else's diploma into a different profile. So, if you uploaded Edwin's diploma into my profile, you would certainly want to submit a help request for that to be deleted. Or if you are receiving, an error message or a flag and you don't understand why, a lot of times it will explain to you what needs to happen in that error message. But if you're not able to figure it out, or if you're not able to do what it's suggesting that you do to resolve the issue, again, that's where you would access the help desk. So in order to do that, as I mentioned, you would click on the arrow by your name, and the drop-down menu would appear, and help request would be there. I mentioned before, it's not on every screen, but it should definitely be on that participant recruitment and engagement, the very first screen when you access IWRS. So if it's not, please place a message in the chat so that we can look into that for you. Next slide, please. When you do select that help request link, you'll be taken to the welcome to the help desk powered by Illinois WorkNet screen. This is known as the help desk's homepage. The home screen, if you go back for just a moment. Yep, there we go. That home screen, you can see 4 different icons on the left. There's of course a house, which means it'll take you back to this home screen. There's a kind of a file holder that is for your tickets. So any tickets that you've entered, you would be able to view there. There's a service catalog is the 3rd icon, and then the light bulb is the knowledge base. The Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program only really uses the first 2. The other 2, the service catalog and the knowledge base, those are for other programs that have kind of a database of self-help information or learning tools. So we use our partner guide for any of our learning tools, so we don't need to use this the help desk for that. So primarily though, you'll be entering new help requests, and that's that icon then in the upper right hand corner. You can see that's marked in red as well, and that's new request. So when you click on that, if we go to the next screen, we should see the new form for entering a new request. You'll want to enter a short title for the request, include the participant's name. So one of the most common requests that we get is that you are trying to add a new person as an applicant or an inquiry into your system. And like I said, maybe they were with another grantee in 2023, but now they'd like to rejoin or finish their program with you. Please don't just enter, participant already exists, because while that might be the only request you put in, we're going to see 100 of those, and we won't really be able to identify them in any meaningful way. So if you put, Dan Martinez profile already exists, now we, can sort that and identify that well. And then the next field is for you to enter a short description. Make sure you give us the proper information. Let us know what the issue you're having is, what screen you were on, that sort of thing. There's a drop-down category where you need to make sure you select the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program, because this help request is for all of Illinois WorkNet. And as we said, it gets routed actually to different tech support people based on that. And that person might not have any idea how to solve the problem in IWRS, because we are a special dedicated system. So we need to make sure it gets routed to the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program help desk staff. There's a subcategory. So we'll select the one that makes the most sense. Is this happening during intake? Is this happening during, follow-up and completion? Highlighted in red here is a CC box. So that's where you need to enter your grant manager's email address. So whenever you have a help desk request, you need to make sure you copy your grant manager so that they can intervene whenever necessary. Very often, the help desk requests are actually a training request. You're trying to do something and the system is designed to not let you do it. And so the help request will either take a long time, or it might be resolved quickly. But in either case, it's going to just say IWRS is working as designed. And so then you're going to be back to square one. Whereas if you'd have copied your grant manager, they could have seen what you were trying to do. They could have reached out to you and said, okay, we're going to close this request, but here's how we resolve what you're trying to do. It's a training issue. So always make sure you copy your grant manager there. And then it has information for you to enter your email address, asks whether you're a partner. In this instance, you're not considered a partner of Illinois WorkNet. And then there's a checkbox for prioritization that asks if this is preventing you from moving forward. So that's more for like system level ones where you can't do anything. So, and then you're able to look in the next screen, you'll have a whole list of all of your existing tickets. Remember I said on the left-hand side, we have, Shiv, if we go one more screen, there we go. On the left-hand side, that second icon is a My Tickets icon, and it'll let you view any of your previous tickets that you had submitted. All right, next screen. Do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. There was a comment. They're asking, we don't have any data, so how do we practice?
So there wasn't really anything for you to practice in this session. This is really an overview. The main thing that you were taught to do was manage your own staff members. So that user management, that's really the one main thing in IWRS Session I that you can come away with and actually manage in IWRS. In IWRS Session 2, 3, and 4, we're actually going to provide everyone with a test environment, and you'll be able to add data, move a participant through the different cycles, learn how to enter, upload documents like that diploma or the wraparound assessment or the orientation career assessment, interview sheets. All that's part of the intake process. And then you get into the active training process of the cohort, and you'll learn how to enter attendance hours and enter post-assessment scores and enter credentials as they receive their first aid CPR card or their OSHA 10 card. So we will definitely walk you through all of that. This was an introduction to IWRS itself from the administrator perspective, and so that you can start to begin to add your staff members that weren't already added. That's a good question, though. Any other questions?
Yeah, it's a question, comment around the people are allowed to be in the system under our program and another program as well that is using the system as long as it's under a different funding stream.
So, I'm not entirely sure if I'm answering this question correctly, but you know what? Let me jump into IWRS and answer that question, and then walk everyone through the help ticket portion. Is there any other questions before I answer that one?
That was it.
Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen, and we can all walk through together. All right. So before we get into the help request, just to answer that question very quickly, if a person, maybe they're a consultant and they're working for two different grantees as data entry coordinators, right? They work for grantee A in the morning as a data entry coordinator part-time, and then grantee B, 3 miles away in Chicago in the afternoons. Well, they could have a single username and password, and each of the programs puts them in, that individual in under their profile. What that person will see after they log in is they will see two options under this intermediary and provider. And they will then be able to go to this drop down and select which of the two organizations they're currently working on. I will say that I wouldn't recommend that very often, because what could happen is, let's say Chicago Test Providers grantee A and there's a different grantee B. As they go to add participants into grantee A, they could wind up accidentally picking the wrong one here, or forgetting to reset that. So then they've added someone into grantee A's profile, a participant that should actually be in grantee B's profile. And then, I mean, that can be corrected, not by the user. They would have to submit a help desk request. We would have to then investigate, see, well, is this okay? We'd have to get approval from the administrator to move the person from the incorrect grant to the proper grant. But it is possible. But I would suggest they use their own unique username and password for each one. Okay. We were talking about the help request. So again, up in the navigation bar, we have my name here and the drop-down menu, and I'm going to select help request. And this takes us to the help desk request screen. We mentioned here on the left that we had 4 icons: the home screen, the my tickets, the database one, and I forget the other one because we don't use it. Oh, the service catalog. So some of the other programs, again, they have known issues that you can search through here and identify the issue. We don't really have those kinds of issues with ours, since it's a pretty established program. But what I did mention we will use very often, the whole reason for going here typically, is that new request up in the upper right-hand corner. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and you can follow along with me. So go ahead and click new request. And here are the different fields that we had already discussed. Again, I would make sure you put the person's name, not able to enter as an applicant, or whatever you're going to say, but don't just put not able to add an applicant, because that's a little bit too generic for us to be able to meaningfully identify who that is. And then here, when entering an inquiry, the system provides the following error message, right? And then you can do a screenshot or whatever it is that you would like to place there. Category, I had said it's very important that you scroll down and select the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program so that it gets routed correctly. The subcategory, what were you doing? Were you adding a participant? Were you adding attendance? Were you modifying their career plan? Was it during the program completion and follow-up, uploading a resume? What was it that you were working on? The due date's not required. I wouldn't recommend filling that out. But the CC, again, enter the email address for your grant manager there. And then here, enter your name, last name, your email address. Are you a provider? Say no. And it's helpful sometimes for them to know what browser you're using, because it might be a browser specific issue. So, in the state of Illinois, we use Edge for almost everything. And then I mentioned, is this issue keeping you from moving forward? If it's blocking you from entering anybody into IWRS, that would be keeping you from moving forward. If it's just one person, then that's not keeping you from moving forward as an organization. And then you would click create, and it would take you to the My Tickets section, where you can then pull up any of your old you know, tickets and look for updates and communicate back and forth with that staff and personnel. Any questions there? Everyone feels comfortable entering a help desk request. Perfect. So I'm going to turn things over to Edwin, and he's going to talk a little bit more about some of the resources and tools that you can utilize, particularly the partner guide. But Edwin, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Dan. Thank you for all the information that you provided last few hours. We're close to the finish line, everyone, so please bear with us. But so a lot of great information, and you would definitely need to know to be successful with our program. So I'll go over some resources. So by the end of this section, you will be able to access additional IWRS resources. Next slide, please. Next one. Thank you. That one's good. So the Illinois Works Partner Guide provides grantees with resources to navigate the IWRS. So you would see by navigating to the State of Illinois Workforce Portal, Illinois WorkNet, you scroll down to State Partner Resources, select View More, scroll through the list until you locate the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program. Next slide, please. And then can you select the next, there we go. All right, so once you're there, you will select professional development for videos, tutorials, recordings of webinars, and presentations provided during in-person events such as a regional meeting or annual conference. You'll also see, for example, this recording will be on here posted a little bit after we're done. If you select the full life of resources, that's where you'll have written directions on how to navigate IWRS sorted through the pre-apprentice life cycle. And the link to the Illinois Works Partner Guide is also being provided for you in the chat. Can you go to the next slide, please? Or the next icon. Yeah, there you go. So you'll see all those resources, those tutorials as I was mentioning. All right. So that's some resources for IWRS. Next slide, please. All right, so that was a real quick section there on those additional resources. Do we have any questions related to that, those resources, the partner guide, information on that? And I also want to mention once the 2026 grantee manual is published, and we will notify you when that happens. You know, we'll notify everyone. It will be posted on the partner guide as well, so you'll be able to find the grantee manual on there too. You can access the 2025 one for now. The 2026 will be on there as well. So highly recommend to please navigate that website. Any questions?
No, nothing's come in chat, Edwin.
Okay, great. So we can move forward. All right. Okay, so we're going to use Mentimeter now. So there's going to be a you should see the Mentimeter view on your browser, and you can log into the website as well. Enter the code, and the website and the code should be available for you to chat. So we want to get your feedback based on today's presentation. So we want to hear from you. So we appreciate any feedback you're able to provide to help us improve the quality of our trainings, please. So, and thank you, Jeff, for providing that. Put a link in the chat and the code.
Do the evaluation. Edwin?
I'm sorry, hello?
This is Carlita. Would you like me to continue with evaluation?
Oh, yes. Hi, Carlita. Welcome.
Thank you. All right. So can we go to the first slide? All right. Thank you. So please share your views on this training by rating the following statements from 1 being the lowest to 10 being the highest. To what extent did it meet your expectations? How likely are you to attend a similar event in the future? And how likely are you to recommend this training to others? All right, looks like we have a few people who have jumped in. Thank you for that. We have about 43 people on our roster here, so I'm looking to see some more input on your part. Thank you for adding your contribution. All right, can we go on to the next slide? The course was relevant to what I wanted to learn about this subject matter. Strongly disagree to strongly agree. Make your selection at this time. Okay, I can see things are starting to come in now. It looks like we have strongly agree. That this is really meeting relevance for them to learn something about the subject. I'll give you a few more minutes or a few more seconds to allow other people to join in and contribute. Okay, thank you so much. Few more seconds, just want to give people an opportunity to make sure they're in the system properly, have access to Mentimeter so that they can give their feedback. Great, looks like we have a really good number of people. All right, can we go to the next slide? I plan to apply what I learned. Again, strongly disagree to strongly agree. Okay, looks like we're starting to get some feedback here with a very strong agree, leading the pack. Somewhat agree, and a few of the various other responses, strongly disagree, etc., etc. I'll give you a few more seconds because I see there's a number of us in the system, and I'd like to get a few more responses before we move on. Okay, great, thank you. Next slide, please. What improvements might you recommend? And here's an opportunity for you to really tell us what you think would really improve our webinar for today and this subject matter. All right, we have one response, more breaks. Thank you for your response. Thank you for the session. The information is great, but these sessions are a little long, shorter, NA. Thank you all for your responses. Are there any other contributions? Here's another one. While presenting, have a working screen to show what you're talking about. Another one responded, having the system accessible by all participants before demonstrating how it's used. More breaks, examples that we can walk through. Again, someone mentioned shorter, great information, the length of the session. This session was great. No recommendations at this time. Thank you for that. Shorter segments. Skip the PowerPoint and go directly to the system. Make it a working session that we walk through together for those that learn by doing. Thank you for your response on that. As new providers, it provided everything we needed. Thank you. And then more interactive examples. Thank you all for your contributions. We have one last one that just popped up. I wasn't able to follow along. I didn't have access to providers' views. And then there's another one that says we should start off with the testing training that we can do together. And then there was a non-applicable comment mentioned here. Thank you all for your contributions, and we'll go on to the next slide. What did you find effective? If we can make any changes, what would you recommend we keep? Okay, we have one response so far in A. Any other suggestions on what you thought was effective and what might you want us to keep? Keep the web page walkthroughs. Going over each tab was very good. The demonstration, make it a follow along type session while doing it together. Okay, thank you. Interactive demonstrations, keep that. We want to keep being able to log into the system. I would do some breakout rooms to better help understand the system in smaller groups. Was unable to answer at this time, responding to questions in real time. Thank you all for your contributions. Are there any others? I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds to finish typing out your comments. Everything that you provide us is very useful for us to improve our programming, so thank you. We have one that says breakout rooms, another as new grantees. I would highly recommend that you keep all of the materials because it's extremely helpful for everyone to learn better, respond to answers that helped, and none at this time. Wow, great. Thank you so much for your comments. Let's move on to the next slide. Is there anything else about this course you think we should know? Okay, we have a response. May. No, thank you. No. Looks like we did a pretty good job of giving you what this course had to offer. So thank you for your responses. Appreciate the clarification and real world examples. None at this time. Thank you all. All right. And I see you, Ms. Kitching. Thank you as well. And it looks like there are no recommendations for next time we do this course, but I do appreciate your comments, your feedback. I will give you a few more seconds just in case someone's still typing and we can get the last contributions. All right. I like that audience was asked if they had questions frequently. It was informative, but I will need to practice to really grasp. Thank you for that. These are all good suggestions. All right. Are we at the last slide, Shiva?
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to thank you all for joining us for today's grant management grantee manual session 1. And we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar on Thursday. Thank you so much and have a good day.